Hi, and welcome to another episode of Ask Maggie Fuller. And as promised, I have brought you a special guest, somebody that a lot of you know from the morning show. He was the newsman who was there for how many years? 15, 20 years, it seems?
20 years.
20 years. A lot of you might have missed him, and sure enough, here he is, and here is Menchie.
Yep, there's Menchie.
Yes.
Menchie's certain.
Menchie likes you.
There's a certain portion of her that's touching me that I won't say what it is, but it's an escape route.
You're getting the elevator butt.
Okay.
Well, we are here to talk about.
She had beans, did she?
Well, this usually he has diarrhea, so you might want to change your shirt when you get home.
Okay.
We are here to talk about an experience that Jim has had, and most people haven't had. And it's kind of weird for me to prepare for this. Usually I have 3 pages, single-spaced, of material prepared for these, but I am totally unprepared because I don't even know how to begin with this topic. And as a counselor, and by the way, I do have to give a disclaimer, this is not a substitute for counseling. This is just for entertainment and educational purposes only.
And I myself, not a doctor, so.
No, he's not.
So any
But
advice
you
you
are-
may hear
you-
is purely my opinion.
You could be an actor as an actor on TV. You have been
Well,
in
yeah,
movies.
yeah.
He was in the movies with Matt Damon. So we're here to talk about after-death experiences. Is that the right name for it, or is it near-death experience?
Near death, dying on the table, coding is another word for it.
Okay.
Whatever it is, it's not the exact way you want to go. It's happened sometime. The cat really likes me. I'm sorry. Ever since I died, I had this new outlook on life. I
Well,
don't take much seriously anymore.
that didn't turn you on, did it?
That's a long time since I had one of those on my lap. Anyway, back to what we were saying. Dying is something that I experienced, yes. It was April 29th, 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were working together a week before that, and I went into the hospital, and I have been battling heart failure for about 15 years now. And the doctors believe my heart failure is caused by a viral infection that I received sometime during my lifetime, which could have been when I was an infant, it could have been the flu when I was a young child, it could have been a number of things. They believe the virus infected my heart, causing my heart to enlarge, triggering an abnormal arrhythmia. And over time, that abnormal arrhythmia, which is the electrical impulses beating off kilter, caused heart failure. So I've been in and out of the hospital many times. Never died to the, I never came close to that experience, although I was close and didn't know that I was close to that level of dying, because I was one of those patients who was too tough to recognize the symptoms or ignore advice to go to the hospital and get checked, etc. So what I did is waited till the last minute where I could barely walk from 5 feet. I couldn't even walk to the refrigerator.
You couldn't even walk from the newsroom to the
No,
studio.
I couldn't even walk from the
20 minutes.
Exactly. I mean, and to do the news was just very, very difficult. I couldn't catch my breath. I would have, but I pushed through it the whole time. And finally, thanks to my wife, she bawled her eyes out and told me we need to go because we were scheduled to go on a cruise that weekend. And she said, we're not going until you get checked. So I said, okay. And we went up and got checked. They immediately admitted me into the ICU, and it was probably like 15 minutes, 20 minutes after I entered the hospital. They stuck a right side cath down my neck right in here, which is basically what they did was go into my vein or artery, vein I believe it was, go down into my heart, and that way they could get blood, they could check the pressures in my heart chambers, etc. So right after that, they wheeled me right up to ICU, and my arrhythmia was very unstable. I was in ventricular tachycardia, ventricular tachycardia, and then finally at nighttime, I was going to sleep on the second night in the hospital, and I fell asleep, and the next thing I know, I was out. And when I say out, I was out. I mean, I didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Before I get to the details as to what happened once I met that little moment, when I was admitted into the ICU, I told the doctors and nurses and things like that, I said, I just don't feel right. I said, I've been telling a coworker, Howie,
Mm-hmm.
for a couple of weeks now. I said, I feel like my train's about to come to the end, and it's my stop. I'm about to get off. And
Wow.
I said, I can't shake these feelings that I'm having about this. And he said, oh, don't worry about it. Go on your vacation. Do what you have to do. Have fun.
Irony.
Relax.
Mhm.
Right. And I said, it's just weird. It's just weird. So I'm admitted to the hospital. And that first day I'm in the hospital, before I go to bed, I put on my headphones, my iPhones. And I don't have any music. I didn't have any music in my iPhone at the time. So what I did is just put on one of those random internet radio stations.
Mm-hmm.
And when I put on the internet random radio station, the first song that came on from the very beginning was Norman Greenbaum's "Spirit in the Sky."
Wow.
Yeah.
Weird.
And I had always told my wife that that's the song I want played at my funeral. I said, I want a number of those type songs, but I don't want the traditional music.
Wow.
So the hair on the back of my head began to stand up because I had all these feelings before,
Mm-hmm.
and then now I had the Howie thing with Howie about telling him,
Mm-hmm.
and now I have this song playing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm freaking out. So I go to bed that night, and I have to wear a CPAP because of my regular heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
I can't have any interruptions in my air breathing, so I have to sleep the CPAP on. Well, I didn't have it with me that night in the hospital, and I had forgotten. No one remembered. I didn't even think about it, obviously, because I was half out of it anyway because of the meds I was on. I went to sleep without my CPAP on, and the next thing I know, I am floating.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean floating. I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel anything. I didn't see anything. It was the most bizarre yet most euphoric time I can describe.
Mm-hmm.
I can only say that every case I talked to psychologists and psychiatrists from the hospital after this, nurses, people that were interested in the near-death experience, what you saw, what you didn't see, because it seems each person sort of has their own experience, so to speak.
It's unique to each person.
But there seems to be a thread in common, where the one thread in common is most people report that there is some sort of light.
Mm-hmm.
And scientists have yet to determine whether that's a synapse misfiring, or that's the brain dying slowly, or you're actually going. In my case, I was floating. I was floating in space, and it's sort of like a vacuum. No stars, pitch black. But I had the feeling that I was weightless. And I could see around me. I could spin. I could turn. I could move around. Like if I wanted to move, I would just go like this and turn and turn. And there were no stars. It was just blackness. And it was quiet. It was extremely quiet. Yet I was so comfortable. I was so. There aren't even words in the English dictionary to describe what I experienced. The euphoric feeling I had. The zen-like feeling I had. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't cold. I wasn't hot. I was just existing without any sort of feelings that we know as humans on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And it just felt really, really good. So I'm turning around and looking around and just enjoying the moment. I mean, literally enjoying the moment because that's how good it felt.
It was better than sleep, huh?
It was much better than sleep. It was a place that you wanted to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I slowly turned, and here's where the cliched white light comes in. I turned to my right, and I saw off in the distance this tiny little white light. And at that point, it was tiny. It was only, I would say, the size of a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the only white light I saw.
Did you ever wonder if that's like the birth canal?
I don't know.
What if you were floating in a womb and that was the birth canal?
It could very well be. After this experience, I am not ruling out anything. I mean, I trust me. And as soon as I started to go toward this white light, it was pulling me, but I was fine with it. I mean, it was cool. It was like, wow, this is great. I felt someone hit me in the chest with a sledgehammer, just pounded me as hard as I mean, and I didn't know what that was. I jolted awake. And I looked above me, and there was this mask on my face. They're bagging me. There's a team of medical personnel all around me, and speaking of medical personnel, they're all like trying to revive me. They got patches on me that are giving me the defibrillator.
Mm-hmm.
They're bagging me. They've got things in my arms. And I raise my head up off the bed, and I see Jennifer, my wife, and she's balled up in the corner crying over there and crying. And I just couldn't believe that. I didn't know what happened. And I woke up and I said, who in the hell kicked me? I said, who hit me? I was sleeping. Who hit me? Why did you hit me? I had no idea what was going on. All I know is once they said, they were yelling at me, keep your eyes open, don't go back to sleep, don't go back to sleep. Well,
Wow.
I told them, I said, no, I want to go back to sleep. And they said, no, you can't go back to sleep. You can't go back to sleep. And I said, I want to go back to sleep. I want to go back there. I want to go back there. I don't want to be revived. I want to go back. That's how comfortable the feeling was and how euphoric it was. And I don't know if that helps any of you in similar situations where may know someone who's on that sort of side or maybe impending. But I just want to tell you from my experience and in my opinion, it is something special. And I recently lost two very close relatives all within a month of each other. And you know, it was interesting at the funeral, I wasn't sad for them, yet I loved them like my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And because I knew what they were going to go through. I'd been there. I knew what they were going to see and find. I didn't know what they were going to see when they got to the light. But I knew once they were where I was, they had that euphoric feeling, and your memory is sort of erased. It doesn't exist anymore. You don't know as you're floating. You're just existing. But it's just this comforting feeling. It's almost just like, you want to say like that hand of God is holding you. I mean, it's just very magical. It was one of those things when they finally got me revived and sat me back up, and they wouldn't let me go back to sleep. And they made me sleep with the patches on my chest and back all night. So in case I went into ventricular fibrillation again, I would be shocked again. So my doctor came in the next day and finally said that you just bought yourself a pacemaker defibrillator.
Oh boy.
And I said, okay, I get your point. So to sum it all up, I mean, basically I had signs, I had feelings that this was going to happen. I kind of knew it.
Like
something
a premonition.
like a premonition. Something was telling me this was going to happen. And I couldn't shake it no matter what. Then I had all these signs, and this Norman Greenbaum song thing, Spirit of the Sky, that's something I'd had planned for years. So that wasn't like a coincidence where, oh, that's the song I wanted playing. I told my wife the night before. No, that's something I always had wanted. That song came on that night, right before I coded.
Right.
So it was traumatic experience once I was revived, but while I was unconscious, if you want to call it, it was euphoric.
So basically, you're telling us that you were dead and you came back. So, are you a zombie?
I could be.
I thought so.
I could be.
Do you think Jesus was a zombie?
I don't know. I don't know. All I'm saying is I don't know whether. I don't know what to say. It was just an incredible experience, and now I'm not sure of anything.
So some people always say that your life flashes before your eyes. Did you have any type of experience where?
I didn't float above anybody. I didn't look down on my body. I didn't. My life didn't go. Maybe that's end stage. Where you're actually. That's it. I mean, maybe that's when.
Yeah, maybe after the. Maybe.
All I know is I was plucked from the water, so to speak, before I had time to take the last breath of water. So.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was very traumatic. And I spent 16 days in the hospital after that, most of the time in the ICU. And I've been back ever since, several times admitted ever since then, many times actually, and I'm going back again next week, as a matter of fact, for another heart procedure, which they're going to do a atrial fibrillation ablation this time.
Wow.
They already did one for the V-fib or V-tach last time. And now we're going to do the A-fib because my heart is still beating out of rhythm. It's got the chambers going different beats. They're supposed to beat in unison and pump the blood in and out of the heart, but mine are going like this. Somebody's like, it's like Matthew McConaughey playing the bongos. I mean, it's just...
That's an interesting analogy.
And it's just like this, and they're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to beat in unison, and it forces the blood out of the heart. And what happens in heart failure, your heart does not pump enough blood to move through your body. Therefore, your body, everything slows down. You start to gain weight because the fluid intake, your body, your heart can't get rid of it, et cetera, et cetera. And you have to avoid salts and things like that. But other than that, it was a very, I don't want to say it was terrifying, because I was scared to death at the beginning, but
well, my question would be, and I did talk with you after, this had happened, and you had said that there had been some changes in you and how you saw life. What is different now than, let's say, 10 years ago?
Oh my God, I'm completely different. Totally different attitude on life. I look at anything as a go for it mentality now. No means nothing. If someone tells you no, it's like, oh well, I'll just move on. I don't care. I got into acting and voiceover. I left radio to start my own business because it was a leap of faith, so to speak. Because the doctors suggested that I should find a new line of less stressful work, even though, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day and 6 days a week, and you very well know what I'm talking about.
Of course, yeah.
So I did it. I took a leap of faith, and I got lots of no's in life. Everybody told me I can't do this, you're never going to make it, you're too old, you're too blah, blah, blah. And I just said, it's just another no. What's another no? It doesn't mean anything to me. You can't, you can't move forward. You can't climb the ladder if you don't take a step. I mean, so now for me, the sky's the limit, and I ride every day just to see what happens. I don't wake up in the morning thinking about it. I just go with whatever happens. And it's so refreshing not to think back the way I used to be, which was so pessimistic. I always dwelled on the past and tried to predict the future, and it was always negative. Like, well, if I go here, this is going to happen. This is bad. This is terrible. Remember? And now I've made peace with all that, and now I live my life to the fullest, and I do things with my wife that I never would have done before. I used to give her grief all the time about things she wanted to do and do things. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. No.
Do you now let her decorate the yard for Halloween?
Yes, I do.
You would never let her do that.
Yes, I have allowed Halloween decorations. I don't say a word. I don't say a word. As a matter of fact, last night she put two pumpkins out on our front doorstep, and she it was like midnight, and I told her I could tell her because 2 years now, for 2 years, 2 times now, I think we've had our pumpkins stolen from the front porch.
Yeah.
So I told her, I said, every time you go to buy pumpkins, I said they're going, someone will probably steal them, just so you know. So last night we go to bed, and it's like midnight, 12:30, and we hear somebody ring our doorbell. And she jumps up all afraid, and this is all part of the new me, and I'm still just lying there in bed. And she's like, aren't you gonna go see what happened? I'm like, why? That's outside, what do I care? If they come in the house, then it's a problem. I don't care, they wanna ring the doorbell and run, it's probably kids that coming back from a football game or something. So the first thing she did in the morning when she got up was to run out and check her pumpkins to see if they were there, and they were still there. So yeah, I completely don't look at life the same way, and I don't think anybody should. I think everybody should go for their dreams and do things that they want to do now. Do it now before it's too late, because once you do experience what I experienced, you may not come back.
You could be gone, and you won't be able to do those
Right,
things.
you won't be able to do them again, and it really does mean. What's the saying for? What do they say with the kids today with the live life? Is there like an acronym or something?
Oh, YOLO.
YOLO. Yes.
YOLO.
Yes. See, kids, I know. YOLO. You only live once, and it's true. And if you're not happy in your job, I mean, yes, some of you may not be able to quit your job because you have family members or you have certain expenses or things like that. I was fortunate enough that my wife has a good job, and it allowed me to take that leap. Some of you can't do that, but it was still very scary time. We cut our income in half.
Oh, yeah.
And I had medical bills. I still have medical bills. And what I'm trying to say is you should go for it. Go for what you want to do in life. Go for it. If you want to skydive, go for it. If you want to ride a motorcycle, go for it. If you want to start your new business, go for it. Do what makes you happy, because once this experience happened to me, it makes life's problems so minuscule. Every day, little arguments, petty arguments. I can't stand to watch the news anymore because I can't stand what's going on with the countries and the warring and everybody wants to kill each other. I don't understand why we're all killing each other around the world. And none of this makes any sense to me anymore. When we have such a short time on this earth, and we don't know where we end up after we die. We don't know. No one knows. No one's come back to tell us, this is where I was, this is what heaven's like, this is what paradise was like, or this was, no one's come back to tell us. So we don't know. And I don't know what that light was. I don't know. Like you said, it could have been my brain remembering back through the birth canal as I was being an infant. It could be. I don't know. It could be the synapse misfiring in my brain. I don't know. All I know is that do it now if you can, within reason. I mean, if you can do it within reason, I so suggest you try and don't waste another minute, because you never know how life changes rapidly. You're going along 1 minute, the next minute, things just pull the carpet right out from under you.
So, you didn't see any ghosts or anything?
No, I had my ghost experiences though.
Oh,
Remember that I told you?
love his ghost experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, now see, this is going to be weird too, because do we have time to even do this?
Yeah, we've got 6 minutes.
Okay, I'll make it quick.
Yeah, I want to hear about the ghosts.
About, I don't know, 13 years ago. Now, me being a former news director, I have to check facts. Just lay that on the table first. Living in a condo at the time, and I don't even know how to begin this. Weird things begin to happen. I mean, strange things. 2 o'clock in the morning, or midnight, right at midnight, the stereo downstairs would kick on, and it would be Metallica playing. I mean, loud and clear as Enter Sandman played, and it's like it was jamming it. It would wake me up in the middle of the night. And I thought, well, that's stupid. It's just got to be the fact that I left the radio on as a malfunction or something like that. So I went down and I looked at the stereo system, and no, nothing was left on. The thing was off. It was Also, the garage door opener around the same time every night would go up and go down, go up and go down. Yeah, no way to get better than this. And so I'm starting to think, okay, at the time my wife was like, we're getting out of this house, we're going to a hotel. I'm not staying here another minute. There are weird things happening here. I was lying in bed one night, and I don't know if this was a dream. I don't know if this was a whatever it was, but a line of dead people. I mean, dead people walked through our bedroom. And among the dead people was a little boy, and he came around and sat down on the bed next to my wife and tried to wake her up, and she wouldn't wake up. And I'm watching this with fascination. And again, I wasn't scared. I was just fascinated by this. And they just kept walking, and they disappeared out the window, out through the wall. The smoke alarm, or some beeper, it wasn't a smoke alarm because I checked that, would go off at around the same time. It was a noise, but it wasn't the smoke detector. My wife would wake up and say, "What is that noise? What is that noise?" I said, "I don't know. I can't find it." And I was because we had a smoke detector right in the hallway, right above our bedroom. Right outside our bedroom was a smoke detector. And then we had one down at the bottom of the steps. And I went out there and I'm looking at it and I said, "It's not it." I said, "The sound is all around me. I don't know where it's coming from." And she said, "Make it stop." And I said, "I don't know what to. I don't know what to do." And all of a sudden, this sound, it just went like this. You could hear it go, and it funneled all the way down the stairwell and out of the house. So at this point, okay, I'm a news guy. I'm checking everything out because everything to me is fact. I mean, I have to have facts to prove anything. So I did some digging around, and of course, where we lived was among the most haunted areas in Ohio.
Wow.
Which I had no idea. I actually even looked up the Vatican for an exorcist. I mean, I did. But we did discover that across the street from us there was a young man who hanged himself years before in the woods directly across from us, and we didn't know anything about it. But people had told us before that this kid's spirit supposedly has not been allowed to be set free, that it's still missing something, it still wants something.
Yes, unfinished business.
Sort of, yes. This entity, if you want to call it. And we sold the house. To be honest with you, we sold the house because we weren't going to stay there anymore. I even had, remember Stefan?
Yeah.
Our overnight producer?
Yeah.
I made Stefan sleep on the couch that night because I said, "You sit here and you tell me if I'm nuts or not, okay? You lay on the couch, sleep tonight, and tell me if I'm nuts." And of course, Stefan reluctantly slept on the couch that night. And of course, the night I told him to sleep on the couch, he fell asleep, didn't hear a thing. So.
Of course.
Yeah. So thanks, Stefan. But, so I no longer disbelieve in pretty much anything. I'm open to all things. If you tell me you have a ghost in your house, or your child saw Grandpa at the bed last night who died 20 years ago and he never met him, then hey, that's fine with me. I'm not going to argue it. I'm not going to say a word. To each his own. I'm just telling you that was an experience of mine, and whether it was all imagined, but it wasn't. Whether I was dreaming, but it wasn't. And I looked up facts, which I did, and it all came to the point where there was reason to believe that that place we lived in was a haunted area. So with Halloween coming up, keep in mind it may be more than one goblin out there.
Well, they say that there's like a veil that opens between the dead world and the living world 2 times a year, and one is during Halloween time and then again in the springtime.
I always said to myself, I said, you never know what, we're only allowed to see so much. So we can't see beyond what's in front of us. We don't know. Right now, there could be 30, 40 people standing around us. There could be angels. There could be undead. There could be whatever, entities. A bunch of different things could be around us right now. We don't know. We can't see into the future. We don't know. We have to play it as humans, given the senses we're given, and just take it for what it is. And ever since my near-death experience, I am open to everything. I don't doubt anybody anymore.
I have one more question, because I did do some reading on near-death experience, and some people actually have that problem where your watch will stop and electronic devices will malfunction after you have one of those. Has that happened to you?
I don't know. I never checked.
Yeah, you should check it.
Well, I mean, in the hospital, I didn't
online.
have they didn't allow any jewelry, so I didn't have a watch on or anything. But I should look that up.
Like batteries will drain quickly, your watch will stop.
It was just, it's very bizarre. Until you go through it, I can't describe it anymore. It's something that, I'm telling you now, live your life while you can. Ignore the fighting, ignore the unrest around the world. It doesn't mean anything. It's so minuscule.
There's so many petty fights.
It's
Trust
ridiculous.
me, I know.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And I think now's the time for you to take advantage of it while you can and be somebody. Be who you want to be, not who somebody else wants you to be. Do your own thing. And believe what you want to believe.
Hallelujah.
All right.
All right, and that is the end of this episode, and I want to thank Jim Midock for joining us today. It was fun to see you again.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes.
And we will do another episode coming up in about a week. I think we might just do it on sexual harassment in the workplace.
Hey, that'd be a fun episode.
That would be.
I'll tune into that one.
All right.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Jim.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
Take care, and goodbye.